So let's talk about building miles and pullback weeks. Whether you are not running at all, you're 0 miles and you want to build, or you've established a pretty good base and you're looking to build up some miles along the way, maybe for increased fitness or even just to add more miles to your training regimen. Now you could definitely Google the shit out of this topic and find 100 different people that explain it 100 different ways. But I think what you will find among all those different opinions is 2 common traits. Number 1, consistency. You must be consistent. If you are up, down, all over the place, that is definitely going to lead to injuries. The second one is slow and steady wins the race. This fitness, this running, is a long game. And you can't get caught up in FOMO and what other people are doing. We're all at different ages, different weights, different fitness levels. You must do this slowly. Now it's going to be up to you to decide what slow is, but I'll tell you how I've built to 60 miles a week and avoided many of the common running overuse injuries like runner's knee, plantar fasciitis, shin splints, things like that. And I really think it's from dialing my own method and figuring it out along the way. First, let's start with somebody that's not running at all and maybe wants to start. The mileage and building mileage means nothing. Getting a base of consistency is going to be all that matters if you're just starting out in fitness. So if you're running 0 miles, I would say we need to start working on 10 to 15 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week for at least a month. And whether that's walking, jogging, 15 minutes of activity 3 or 4 times a week is not going to seem hard, but it's going to build a base. Things shouldn't seem hard. If they're seeming hard at first, that probably means you're overdoing it. You should finish this activity and be ready for tomorrow, ready to get back out there for more. When I first started my running journey, I did 7 to 10 miles a week for almost 3 months, and I never had any issues whatsoever. It's the people that I talk to try and get out there too quick or build mileage too fast where these overuse injuries start to pop up quite frequently. And in these first 3 to 4 weeks, that's where most people quit. They either A, go out too hard, start to feel some overuse injuries, and they stop, or they're not patient enough to go slow and they feel like they're, quote, just wasting their time. If you're not doing anything right now, anything you do is going to be more than you're doing right now, and that is definitely not a waste of time. So if you're just getting started, kudos to you. Awesome. Get started, get out there, try and get 7 to 10 miles a week, whether that's after walking for a couple weeks and getting some jogging. But that consistency over a month, you're gonna feel so good that you're gonna be ready to start building some mileage. So over the last 10 or 11 months, that's how I've built from that 10 miles a week or so up to the 50, 60 that I'm at right now. Just to give you some perspective on how long this takes. I will say first and foremost, I'm an ultra runner, so a lot of my intensity, super low. I would say 90% of my runs are in zone 2. Low heart rate, low intensity. I know some people would say that I need to go up a little bit, but I don't give a shit. I'm doing what works for me. And like I said, no overuse injuries. If I had a race specific, like I got the New York City Marathon coming up, yeah, I might incorporate some higher intensity stuff. But right now, training for ultramarathons and just general overall fitness, 80, 90%, nice zone 2. This is a conversational pace for me. You should be out running and be able to make a YouTube video. That's how you know that you're at the intensity that I run at. Now I tend to build all my mileage in a 4-week cycle. 3 weeks, I keep the same mileage, and then I have a pullback or a deload week to let my body rest. I know some people like to build every week. That's really not my style. And here's why I stick with the same mileage for 3 weeks. I found that when I built every single week and I had maybe a bad week or a down week, like say for example, I had 25 miles this week and 28 the next week. If my 25-mile week was bad or I didn't finish strong, I thought ahead to like, man, if I couldn't do 25, how the hell am I gonna do 28? would set a negative mindset spiral into the next week. When I kept them all at 25, in that second week when I had a bad week, I said, okay, this was a bad week for me, but I've done it. I'm gonna do it again next week, and I'm gonna dominate. So that mindset shift of keeping the same mileage every single week has really kept me successful. So that's really just a personal preference thing, and you're gonna have to decide, are you falling into those negative feedback loops like I was doing, or are you able to put that behind you and dominate the next week? It really doesn't matter, because that mileage that I picked for the 3-week block is the average of what I would have increased week 1, 2, and 3. So instead of going 48, 50, 52, I just do 50, 50, 50. And that's worked awesome for me since I made that shift probably about 4 months ago. So now where does that 50, 50, 50 come from? Well, if you're training for a race, you can work backwards from the peak miles that you want. But if you're just building fitness, take the average of your last 3 weeks of volume. And if you're inconsistent, like you did 10, 0, 7, 0, then put all the cards aside, start working towards consistency. Get to a 3-week block where you're about the same mileage, and then you're ready to begin. So now for numbers sake, only because I don't want to do math on this run and I know my numbers currently, right now I just finished a 53, 53, 53 block. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a down week, a deload week. Instagram's gonna hate it, Strava's gonna hate it, mentally you're gonna hate it, but when you come back, you're gonna feel really, really awesome. So I take that 53 and I subtract 30% from that, or 37 miles. That is gonna be my deload week. So the whole month is going to look like 53, 53, 53, 37. That's gonna be my 1 month training block. Now you can pull back 20%, 25%, 30%, 50%, depending on what your friends are telling you, what you read, is really up to you. I've dabbled with a bunch of pullbacks, and I just found that 30% is like a good number for me, where I definitely feel well rested, but I still feel like I did something. And I tend to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to injury. If you're a little bit younger and you bounce back, I'm 41. If you bounce back a little bit better, maybe you only need a 20% pullback. But like I said, you have a long game. You have a long time to experiment. For me, 30% pullback. After that 30% pullback, I'm now gonna go back to that last block, those 53s, and I'm gonna multiply that by 20%. That is gonna be my next block. So 20% of that, my next block is gonna be 63 miles. So I'm gonna do 63, 63, 63, and then I have a deload week, which will be 70% of that, or 30% subtracted. Now with the 53, 53, 53, it's the same mileage, but I'm gonna vary my workouts, vary my long runs, vary how many times I run during the week, things like that. So that's how I'm gonna add a little bit different stimulus to the same mileage block. As far as the days of the week, it's not gonna be a carbon copy Monday through Sunday. The only thing that's gonna be a carbon copy is the mileage. So this equation has got me to a 20% monthly increase time and time again over the last year, and has built me up to 60 miles relatively injury-free. So that's the method to the madness. Mileage, 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 decrease 30%, increase 20% on the last block. Tweak it, figure it out, have some fun with it. That's how I've gotten myself over the last year and a half, from not running at all, 0 miles a week for years, up to consistently running 40, 50, and now 60 miles a week, and feeling awesome. If you have any questions, feedback, please let me know, guys. On a small channel, I would love to interact with you and learn a couple things as well. I'll catch you guys in the next video.